should be. Welcome to the Circle of Heka. I'm Lady Amaris. So on a few occasions I've been asked about book recommendations. What books do I recommend for people who are just starting out? It's even come to the point of, what book do I find all the stuff that you know in? And it's like, it's not going to be in one book. But what you will find is that you'll find all these little pearls of wisdom in different books, and it's over the years you'll amass your wealth of knowledge. It's not going to be in one book, but when you're just starting out, I've said it before, having a solid grounding in a tradition is something that I think everyone should do. After a while, if you want to go and explore the eclectic route, then off you go. But when you're starting out, picking one tradition, picking one kind of stream or path of witchcraft that interests you and calls you the most, and exploring that and actually going through the teachings of that and the way that they structure things for a good time, at the very least a year, but I would say at least 3 years of good solid study within that one stream, so that you've got a foundation. It's all about creating a foundation. Once you've got a foundation and you understand the mechanics behind witchcraft, behind spells, behind creating and manifesting, then you can go and start to look at other ways of doing it, other traditions, and what their slant is on the subject, and getting a slightly different perspective. But without a solid foundation, you lack the ability to understand what's crap and what's not, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like going off and taking out bits of algebra out of different mathematic equations and then putting them together and thinking that you're actually saying something profound when it looks great, but it's not actually, doesn't have any substance. You need to have the foundation of mathematics. You need to understand mathematics and how mathematics works, and understand algebra at the base level before you can start just taking bits out and putting together and start to forge your own path. So it is finding a foundation before you go off. It's the same as in many traditions, they call it the apprentice, then you have the journeyman, and then you have the master. So as an apprentice, you will learn under a certain system, under a certain person, and then you would go out and you will learn either from different other systems, or you will learn on the job doing the work. And then once you have gone through a certain time period, or you have gained a certain proficiency, then you would be considered a master, and then you would be able to then go on and teach your own apprentice. But without that solid foundation, going off and becoming a journeyman isn't going to work. So you can't skip a step. You need to make sure you've got that foundation. And whether it is starts off in Wicca is fine. If Wicca doesn't quite gel with you after a few years, then by all means go off and explore different facets of witchcraft. But I can't stress enough, getting that solid foundation is primary in any magical system, any magical work, whether you are a magician, a witch, any magical practitioner, getting that solid foundation. So now that I've rambled off and everyone's probably fallen asleep, here are my 10 book recommendations for anyone who's starting out. And as I said, this is about just getting the essence and the structure of a system. It's not the first one that I have is this one here. It is The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, Magic, Meditation and Psychic Development, and it is by Christopher Penczak. and Penczak. Probably said that wrong straight away. Now this goes through exercises. You can see exercises, and it takes you through different things that you can do. Starting to, what's this one here? This one is making energy balls, feeling aura, understanding the mind, programming yourself, and creating triggers so that you can have that instant getting into what's called alpha state, so that you can then work magic on the fly. So different correspondences, the art of self-defense. So it goes through all those inner workings, all of those mental things, mental discipline that you should start to hone if you want to become a witch, or if you want to, even if you want to have your spells working and manifesting quicker and more in more powerful way. If you want to become a powerful witch, you need to learn discipline. You need to learn how to focus and have discipline. So the inner temple of witchcraft is a great source for when you're starting out. It gives you a good foundation. Number 2 is again Christopher Penczak's, and this is the other side of the coin. So we've got the inner, and now we've got the outer. So this is the outer temple of witchcraft, and it is circles, spells, and rituals. Okay, again by Christopher Penczak's, and this obviously goes through all those outer trappings, all those things that you see on the outside. So we've worked on the inside. We're working on the inside of the mental discipline, all of those things of creating energy balls, or creating an aura defense, all of those sorts of things, which are paramount in learning witchcraft. Then we have going through spells, so going and talking about gods, talking about divinity in general, the triple goddess, invoking and banishing the elementals, all of those sorts of things in working with witchcraft. Altar setups, all of those sorts of things. So the outer trappings, all of those things. We have correspondences on symbols, all of that outer witchy stuff that most people see as being witchcraft, but it's really the inner stuff that makes or breaks a witch. So those are the first two, so they can be used in conjunction, obviously, and it gives you a groundwork. It's got exercises to do, it's got things to work through, so that you can then start to get that foundation. So the next one is The Witch's Bible by Janet and Stewart Farrar. Now this is wouldn't actually call it a Bible, so to speak, in the Christian sense, but it is a good book to go to find different rituals. Now, Janet and Stewart Farrar are Alexandrian witches. Well, actually, Stewart's not around anymore, but Janet is an Alexandrian witch, and this book is actually the putting together of two books, which was 8 Sabbaths for Witches and The Witch's Way. So it's basically 2 books in one, and it goes through the Sabbats. This one here is the one that we're in Australia celebrating very soon. So it goes through information, a little bit of history, a little bit of lore, and it's not everything, but it gives you a good foundation. Again, gives you a goodly amount of stuff. It has invocations, it has circle castings, and so it is quite a thick book, but it is again a wealth of information, and I recommend this book. I've had it for ages. As you can see, the front is a bit worn. So that one there. So The Witch's Shield again by Christopher Penczak. So this is protection magic and psychic self-defense. So psychic self-defense, and then if you feel the need to do some protection magic. And again, it's quite good. It's one of the better ones that I've seen. It goes through quite a few bits and pieces, but one of the best things that I like in this book is that it mentions that a lot of psychic attack is self-induced. Understanding that and then taking that on board when it comes to doing your psychic self-defense. Understanding that you sometimes can be your worst enemy is great, and it's discussed in this book. So psychic, The Witch's Shield, good little book if you are looking for something to help you with psychic self-defense. But this one here is the Scott Cunningham's complete book of incenses, oils and brews. So again, it gives you lots of little recipes that you can use, and it's a good way of getting started. And again, it gives you some recipes. It gives you a jumping off point. It gives you a way of just having a little bit of an experiment with actual tried and true recipes. So Scott Cunningham, yeah. Next one again is a Scott Cunningham, and I've used these ones because these are the ones that I got when I was just a little whippersnapper, and they're still in publication because they've got good information. It's not the whole lot of information, but again, it's a good starting off. It's a good foundation. So magical herbalism, again, this goes into blessing oils, love incense, herbs, scrying, purification, goes into different fluid condensers, other different things. It's got some pretty pictures, you know, all of that, and different herbs and what they do in a magical sense. So that you can start incorporating them into some of your spells if you like. Moving right along, so going into that vein of herbs and using different herbs and plants in your spell work. A little book, this is a recent book that I found which is quite good. It's the Complete Illustrated Encyclopedia of Magical Plants, and this is the revised edition by Susan Gregg. Okay, the practical guide to creating healing, protection, and prosperity using plants, herbs, and flowers. So there's that one there, and this one here has big pictures in there, which I think is great. So that's dulse and willow. It has Job's tears. So you can see in nice colour. We've got bergamot. You've got a nice colour reference, flaxseed, to what the plants look like, or what some of the herbs look like in their plant form. Because a lot of the times, if you're ordering herbs, or you go into a metaphysical store and you're ordering some dry herbs, they look totally different to what they do in their natural state. So they've got nice pictures, and they have, it's got a nice little breakdown. Again, it's not everything, but it has medical uses, it has how to harness the magical properties, where the plant comes from, it gives its biological name, it gives its herbological. I think that's right. Doesn't sound right, but again, a good little book because it has that illustration. It shows you what these plants look like. So the next one I have is Psychic Sense, a realistic approach to developing your own psychic powers by Andrew Fitzherbert. Okay, now this is a really old one. I got this when I was, this was done back in the 80s, so yeah, Got nice bits of highlighted bits and pieces. Now, the reason I got this book was because it was a realistic approach, a practical approach. It's written by an Australian, so that was the next thing, and it just gives good practical ways to develop your psychic sense. And so it has a few things. So the basic principles of developing your psychic abilities, the world of spirit, kind of do's and don'ts in spiritism, working with cards, working with future predictions, and also some of the things that I haven't really seen a lot of people speak about, but illusions and delusions, understanding what is actually a real really psychic psychic information, and what is just a delusion, what is a lot of the time your ego speaking, or what you would like it to be, because this was written in the 80s, but still a good book, and it's one of the ones that I looked at when I was young, so, and I'm still here, so yeah. Okay, so we've gone through some of the foundation, some of the psychic development, some herbs. What about the spells? What about those spell books? Okay, one book. Yeah, the spell books are, six of one, half a dozen of the other, really. Spell books are everywhere, and the thing is that spells or spell books, in my mind, are there for you to get inspiration, to have a little bit of an idea of, okay, well, this is the structure of a spell. This is how a spell works. These are the types of herbs that go into it. These may be the candles. So it's a kind of a way of looking at the method of spell construction. And this one is called Spell It Correctly by Tish Owen. I got this, I think, last year, and I found it to be really good. Again, down to earth, and saying, the whole thing of be careful what you wish for, making sure that you, if you're going to do a spell, that you are ready for those consequences. This kind of gives you a bit of an idea on how to construct a spell, what goes in behind it, and giving you some ideas on spells. So we've got invisibility for a troublemaker, we've got healing spells, we've got, if you have court proceedings and court cases, different things for business, banishing spells, all of those all of those things that everyone seems to enjoy. So this one, Spell It Correctly by Tish Owen. I keep going through, I'm taking a bit of a while, but you get that. Lastly, one book that I do recommend when you've been doing it for a little while, and you've maybe gone through some of these books and you've gone through a bit of a foundation, because this is a little heavier, and again, maybe something that is a little bit above people who are just starting out. So I would save this book for a little bit further along in your exploration of witchcraft. But this one is Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden, and this, when you're talking about the elements, you're talking about doing mental magic, doing different exercises to get a discipline working in your magic, understanding the mechanics behind things, understanding what the elements and the element energies, all of those sorts of things you'll find in this book. So it's highly recommended. It is dense, and as I said, it is something that may be too much for people who are just starting out, because it it's one of those ones where sometimes you'll read a passage and then you go, oh, my brain hurts and I have to put it down. It's one of those ones that is dense with information. It also has exercises on how to work with the different elements and how to understand, at a core what the elemental energies are. And it is advised that you go through the exercises from beginning to end. Don't just flick through and go, oh, that looks good and I'll do that exercise, because it is designed to start to build a foundation, and it is something that it may take you quite a while to do. It's not something that you can pick up and read and do all the exercises in a week or a month and you're done and you're off to the next one. It is a slow plod. It is an initiation into Hermetics. Comes from Hermes. It is that those Hermetic principles that underline Magick. Those principles that are about creation and manifestation, so understanding those. So great book. I highly recommend it. Last book. So I know that there was 10, but there's always one more. It's kind of like the year and a day. There's always that extra little bit. This book, you can't do without this book. This is the quintessential witch's book. It's called the Witches Handbook, okay, by Malcolm Bird. Now, this is the best book that I have found. I got this when I was again starting out, and there's been a wealth of information. As you can see, witches are clambering for the book. So it goes through how to choose furnishings for your home, the witch's kitchen, fortune telling, so suitable homes, perfect home. Maybe you can see that. There we go, perfect witch home. Witch's kitchen, so what should be in the larder. It actually has also nice, cute little recipes in there. So if you want to make poisonous toadstools, knee bones. It's even got the it's even got the templates. So if you want to have a nice sawin with some biscuits, a few sorted savouries, and said making toadstools, some trifle, dubious trifle. We have fortune telling, and it just never ends. We have the Witch's Zodiac. Okay, what am I? Okay, I'm a cusp, so I'm a Virgo Libra cusp. So it says Virgos are cruel, cunning, nosy, and snobbish, cannot be moved to pity. Yeah. And the Libra is easily impressed and slighted, always looks for the easy way out. Bit of tea leaf reading. We have the witches' birthdays. So depending on the days of the week, Monday's witch is foul of face. Tuesday's witch is a disgrace. Wednesday's witch is long of nose. Thursday's witch has extra toes. Friday's witch bakes poison pies. Saturday's witch has evil eyes. But the witch that is born on the Sabbath day tends to smell, so keep away. Okay, We have spells, how to make it rain, how to... Really, this is the book that you need. It has knitting patterns, anything that you want. You can make your own witch's hat. You can knit your own witch's hat. So this is, I think, the book that, without a doubt, has been instrumental in my witchcraft. So, The Witches Handbook by Malcolm Bird. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you liked the little bit of fun at the end. Witchcraft is, at the end of the day, it's fun. You wouldn't be doing it if you didn't enjoy it and it didn't give you that thrill. So find books that have a good working foundation, that have exercises in them that you can work through, that give you a foundation, that give you, even if it is one of those like year and a day kind of workbooks where you need to do something like each week or each month, so that you have a consistent grounding in witchcraft. And so I hope you enjoyed those. I've put links down below for these books because I know that some people find Google hard. So I've given the links below to the books. Where there isn't a link, it's because I think that website doesn't actually stock the book. But yeah, so depending on where you are in the world, hopefully there is a website that caters for you. And yeah, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
If you like this video and want to see more, please click on the links provided. If you think this witchcraft thing may be for you, please subscribe. Blessed be.